Hello, Mayhem Makers. I'm Mindy with Quilting Mayhem, and welcome back to another Kona block of the month. We're on to month 5. So this is a mosaic block. I love this one. It's pretty. 2 colors, super easy. So half square triangles are on this outer edge, and then you have a square and the square in the center. I'm going to start with showing you the half square triangles because it's what we do, and we seem to do a lot of them. So you start with your 2 fabrics right sides together, line down the middle, and then sew that 1/4 inch on either side of the line. You then cut them apart, okay, and you cut on that line, and then you'll end up pressing them and having your half square triangles, and then you will trim them. All right, so I'm going to move the camera, show you how to trim them just in case any of you are new. Reminder, like my 2 favorite rulers for most of my projects, I have been using the Creative Grids 4.5 by 8.5, and then I'm going to use the Creative Grids 4.5 to trim up this block. So give me a second, I'll move this camera around and we'll show you how to trim. All right, so half square triangles, 4.5. Now, what I like about this ruler is it's got this diagonal through the middle. And so we will lay it on that diagonal and line it up. Actually, I need this 2.5. Haha, helps remember what size I need them. So these are going to be actually 2 3/4. So here we go. It's a little early in the morning for me. So what I'm going to do is make sure that the diagonal is through the diagonal line here. And then I have excess around beyond the 2 3/4. I have excess around the outer edges so that I am not going to be short on any of these sides. So I've kind of got this centered, and we just trim 2 sides. Need to change my blade apparently. Clean it up. And now we know this side is clean. We can line up the diagonal there, 2 3/4 on this bottom 2 sides, and then trim again. And notice my fingers are just kind of splayed out here and pressure straight downward. I'm not near the edges, so we're not gonna nick any fingers, anything like that. All right, so you're just gonna trim them all that same way. Let's make sure you guys can see everything here. Lining it up on the diagonal. I've got excess, all the way around. If you have a rotating mat, it makes it a little easier so you don't actually have to pick up the block as you're doing this. Here, let's be nice. Let's move you guys closer. Ha ha ha, there we go. And then line up these 2 edges that are already cleaned up. Take those off. All right, definitely need a new blade. So if your blade gets this way where it's hard to do those chunkier sides, that's a definite sign to change your blade out. All right, same thing, we just keep lining up, trimming. I just use my ruler as a scraper, it works just fine. Lining up, trimming, etc. All right, you just keep going till you have all of these half square triangles nice and pretty. Next we're going to work on is the square and a square. So you have your bigger square, and you have 2 of one color, 2 of another color, and they have diagonal lines drawn on them. We are going to start with working on opposite corners, stitching this down, and I'm going to sew them on the lines. All right, so I'm going to go do that and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so sewing on the lines, and then this is where the nice longer ruler comes in. And what's really nice is there's this 1/4 inch marking, so I can line that up on that sewn line. So my stitch line is 1/4 inch in, and I'm trimming out here. So it looks like that. And we're going to do the other side, same thing. Line it up. We're trimming. So There's that 1/4 inch seam allowance on either side. I will then press it. And what will happen is my remaining 2 are going to then come on to these other corners. And we'll sew those down. So I'll show you what it looks like. All right, so that's how it looks sewn. We are sewn on those lines that we drew. Once again, cutting 1/4 inch from the drawn line. And then I will press it. Keep in mind, I press my seams open. You don't have to. This is personal preference. If you are pressing one way, go to the dark side. Okay, so go towards that color and away from the light background. And the same would be true here. You would press outward if you're not pressing open. So you would press to this darker teal, so everything would be going outward on all those sides of that block. All right. It's just my personal choice to press my seams open. Up to you. All right, so you're going to save 2 of your half square triangles of each colorway for your outer corners, and then you're going to start making units that look like this. So you'll take half square triangles, make sure that they actually match the corners this way. All right, and you're just going to put them right sides together and do 1/4 inch seam down that way. So you get 4 units that will look like this. You will then lay them out and you're just going to sew across. You'll sew to the sides and to the bottom until you get your block that looks like that. Okay, so by the time you're done, it should look like this. I love this block. All right, if you have any problems, if there's any struggles with the square in the square or those half square triangles, if any of these are giving you problems, they're not coming out the right size, any of that, reach out. Email at info@quiltingmayhem. You can call the store. Of course, if you're local, you can come see us at the store. You can message through, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, even YouTube. We have YouTube. Any of those, whatever method you need to use to get through to us, to ask for help, I will gladly walk you through any of the steps, maybe help you with checking your stitch, making sure that you're using that 1/4 inch or a scant 1/4 inch seam as you're doing it. All those things. I can help you through any of those struggles, so we make sure that we have a gorgeous block, because you are going to do multiples of these. All right, so for each one that you're doing each week, it is in multiples, all right, because it then gives you kind of some secondary designs, those kinds of things, which I am absolutely loving in this quilt. So I hope you do enjoy it as much as I do. Have a lovely day. Keep on stitching.